Hello and welcome. I'm Priti Prakash. Bangladesh is on the boil since last 35 days almost. People are on the streets protesting. The protests have become violent. It is a student-led protest, and there have been very many killings. About 250 plus people have been killed. Thousands have been injured. Buildings and statues have been have been torched. The statue of Mujibur Rahman, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who's the father of Bangladesh, has been vandalized. There's arson on the streets. Then there is internet is was shut. Then temples have also been vandalized. Here, the minorities are being attacked as well. Security forces had refused to, face people for that matter. Uh, all this has a reason. Now, it was basically said to be the quota bill passed by the government that was the reason for this protests among the students and the people. The government had brought a bill which said that 56% of reservations will be there for families of the freedom fighters. This agitated the students and the people which already were facing unemployment and an economic slowdown. And even the judiciary had given a verdict against it. Now, it was all this led to the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to flee the country and she's now in India, and she's in a safe house here given by the government of India. Before she plans to move into another country, taking asylum, which she's seeking in UK, US, some Gulf country, it is said, and Finland. To talk about all this and the condition in Bangladesh, joining me is Major General Anuj Mathur. He's a army veteran, he's a strategic analyst, and he speaks on world affairs. Welcome, General Mathur, to my show.
Thank you very much, Preeti. It has been always a pleasure to be with you on your shows. Thank you very much.
Most welcome. Let me start by asking you, General Mathur, that now as the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh has left the country, she's seeking asylum. How do you see the political framework of Bangladesh, shaping, particularly when the army has taken over, army is in control of the situation, interim government, they have promised that they will bring in an interim government, which is on the verge of forming. Is army controlling the Bangladesh scenario, and is it going to stay there? What do you think the scenario is?
Preeti, with your permission, I'll take you a little bit into the history. That's my favorite way to start things, but we'll not go too much down into the history. Let's see from 2020 onwards. 2020, what Bangladesh was. Bangladesh was a flourishing economy. In fact, some people went on to say that there are many, factors where Bangladesh is doing even better than India and South Asia when you talk of South Asian countries. Bangladesh actually played out US, China, India against each other. And then they made sure that their national interests are taken care of. And all this was being done by Khalida, this current Prime Minister, who's now with us, Sheikh Hasina Wajid. And she has been Prime Minister for a fair amount of while. And this while of her tenure has seen good economic, political, and diplomatic development of state of Bangladesh, of the country Bangladesh. But the hardliners, the radicalists, they were always there. We need to know what actually has led. I want to tell you something, that what we see today in Bangladesh is not the only thing which has happened of the quota. You see, in 1972, they introduced this quota system for the people who fought for their independence. In 1985, they said, okay, it's for their children also. Then in 2010, they said it's for their grandchildren also. But Sheikh Hasina was watching the entire thing. So she abolished this quota herself in 2018. Mind you, it has been abolished by the Hasina's government. Then people interested who were making, food for themselves because of this quota system, went to the court. And the High Court said, okay, this you cannot remove it and it will continue. As always, the courts do. Then government went on to challenge the same thing in Supreme Court. It was heard there. And 7th, yani yesterday, was the date for the next hearing. But people said we have no faith in the government. Whereas the government was wanting to abolish that quota. It was the radicals, mind you. It was the Jamaat, supported by Pakistanis and Chinese. We need to know a little bit about the Chinese interests in this area. You know, why Chinese are doing what they are doing. We'll talk of it later. But the fact of the matter is that the entire thing was not because of this. It was the radicals who were finding, because what had happened, that Hasina had put the BNP in jail. Hasina had put ban on Jamaat, and it was the elections which she won this year, early this year. It was actually viewed as a one-sided thing, because both BNP and Jamaat had boycotted the elections. When there's no opposition, so whether you get 200 seats or 300 seats, it makes no difference. So it was being viewed not only by the people of Bangladesh, but also by US, by China, by many other people, that it was an election which actually is not an election. So that is
How do you
why,
see it now shaping? Yeah.
yeah, same thing. So what is happening is the army is calling. When we were talking about it, the army is the thing, one which can see. The point is we need to know who now can control the situation there. A government led by a Nobel Prize winner, 84 years old, who's living in France. He's getting back today, or must have got back today. And a bureaucrats, and a few other technocrats. This kind of government cannot possibly, take care of the situation that Bangladesh is in today. To my mind, it is the army which will have to now take control of the situation, stabilize. Unless the situation is stabilized and some kind of a government is in place, whichever form it be in, it cannot proceed any further. Nobody knows who to talk to today. If India wants to go and help them, who to talk to? There's no one. There's nothing in place. So my view, it is the army which should take control, bring back some semblance of normalcy, and then this government should proceed their acts.
You mean to say we are actually in the Indian government right now, as you just said, that there's no government there and there's this army there. So there's no one actually, there's a vacuum. So aren't we, as our external affairs minister said in parliament, that we are in talks with the whoever concerned, the various other.
Of course, yes. But we're talking to the army chief also. I should not be saying this, but this gentleman is a very young army chief, and maybe a little inexperienced in handling such kind of complex political situations in the nation. So there is a requirement for the army to stabilize the situation, bring back some semblance of law and order, and bring some kind of peace where the people of Bangladesh are there to listen to some government, some administration, and are there to respond. Then only they will be able to, help things improve in things. And I personally feel that nobody has faith in police. You don't know how many police stations in Chittagong have been burnt. So the point is, someone has to come up and put a stop to the situation, bring back normalcy, and that only, to my mind, the army can do. Army is doing it, and let the government be there, but army should continue to judiciously and without any prejudices help the government, whatever is the form of government, to restore situation in Bangladesh.
Okay, just to digress from my flow a little, I mean, I would just want to ask you, why did the army, refuse to listen to Sheikh Hasina when she said just before leaving Bangladesh, there are reports that she called the army chief and said that you should take control of the crowd, the protest, and deal with them with force. When
Uh,
the army chief refused to do that. Uh,
because
yeah.
go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, just to give a sense of, and your information about it, that why did he do that actually?
See, I'll tell you what. See, the army was seeing probably that what is the mood of the people, and at that time, using some force and doing something, a curfew was defied by 20,000 people. How to deal with this kind of crowd? Not possible. If they are adamant on making sure that Sheikh Hasina Wajid should step down, so they will not stop anywhere short of it. So that is what army had already felt. And I personally feel that the army's call was, I'll not say justified, but it was okay in the interest of the nation. Because any crackdown on such kind of protests would have led to further deterioration of the situation. That is why army gave her time, whatever time, less, more, question of debate. She has easily come out of Bangladesh. That means the time given was, to my mind, it was adequate. And they have allowed her to escape. And then now, but now is the time for the army to handle it. So that is the reason why the Bangladesh army probably did not get into with force at that time. Because there was no, it had reached a point of almost no return. There was no amount of force. They were not listening to police. They were not listening to any administration. Hence, I think that was a reasonably good decision not to crack down on the protesters and allow the Prime Minister to make a clear, exit from Bangladesh.
Okay. Next, I'd like to ask you, General Mathur, that there are two things to it. That one is about Prime Minister Hasina, who's taken refuge. So this is about personally Prime Minister Hasina. She's come to India. India has sheltered her also. Now you think going ahead, you think she's going to get asylum outside? She is capable of it, or what is her path now?
I will tackle this question in a little different manner.
And just allow me to
Now,
put the second part also so that it's
yeah, okay, do that,
holistically
do that,
addressed.
do that.
Secondly, it's about the people of Bangladesh. People of Bangladesh now as reports are, see India as not a friendly nation because India has helped Hasina, who they have antagonized with. So, India now is not a friendly nation for the people of Bangladesh.
That
So India's unpopularity with the people of Bangladesh. How do you see this? So there are two
absolutely.
parts to the question.
You asked it. I was about to say
Oh,
that.
okay.
I was about. See, the point is, India today must look at her national interests. What is in our interest is a stable Bangladesh. That is our interest. And if Sheikh Hasina's stay in India is going to have a detrimental effect on our relationship with people of Bangladesh and our relationship with the government of Bangladesh, to my mind, we need to find a good answer and tell her that, look, we have given you, you are our guest. We have not given you asylum. आपको हमने यहाँ पर शरण नहीं दी है, आपको हमने अतिथि के रूप में स्वीकार किया है. Now you find a place very quickly and please proceed. One. Two, we need to tell the Bangladesh government, whoever is the government. Now you can't become, sort of, no, we'll not talk to this, we'll not talk to that, and because the government has Jamaat in it, so we'll not. Now we need to talk like we are talking to Taliban. Are we? We are. So similarly, whoever is the government of the day, to indulge in a dialogue. Then there should be a people-to-people contact. They should know, and the Bangladeshis should know that we have not given a little bit of passage and space to stay to an enemy of Bangladesh. but we have given this thing to a person seeking, a person who's been the prime minister of that Bangladesh for so many years. So that is another one. So the point is, at this stage, we cannot have a Bangladesh where bulk of the population feels that India is anti-Bangladesh because we are holding Sheikh Hasina in us. So we need to make sure that a very clear message goes to this country of government of Bangladesh, so also the people of Bangladesh, because I will tell you what, the Chinese and the Pakis will leave no stone unturned in trying to tell the people of Bangladesh that India is anti-Bangladesh. That is why they are doing it. So we need to now, tell them that we are just safeguarding a person who's taken our help for a few days. And we must make sure that there is what is in our interest is uppermost, that everything else be where that is. There may be a situation where the Bangladesh government may say, okay, she is a convict, you give her back or something of that sort. We need to take a call. But my mind says that she will find a safer place somewhere in Europe or maybe in the Middle East. Middle East itself is burning these days, but there are places where, so let us see, wait and watch. But my point is that Sheikh Hasina's stay in India cannot compromise India's interests in Bangladesh. That we should be very, very clear. Our interest is to make sure that whoever is the government, whoever is there, we are in touch with him and we are talking. Second thing, but one more thing, Priti,
Sure.
we have done so much of investment in Bangladesh. We got so much of trade with Bangladesh. We need to, the Bangladeshis should understand that geopolitics and geoeconomics, you cannot change the Bhugol. Bangladesh has only one neighbor, and that neighbor is India. 4,100 kilometers. There is no other country which shares such a long border, not even China. And if you want to survive, if you want to thrive, if you want to do economic stability, you cannot afford an inimical neighborhood where, after all, the best possibility of trade. What is happening with Pakistan? They got all three neighbors of theirs are inimical to them: Iran, Afghanistan, India. Where do they go for trade? Mm-hmm. Same thing, they must understand that in Bangladesh's best geopolitical and geoeconomic interest lies with India. That they must get convinced. And Sheikh Hasina was actually convinced of that. But I told you earlier also, she was, playing all the three, the India, China, and US very smartly. But she knew that eventually, for many reasons, including ethnic, our background, being together so many years, 70, 80 years ago, it means there has to be a direct connect with India, and Bangladesh must understand this. No amount of China, Pakistan, or Russia or US can help them. Only India can. That because of the geopolitics and the geoeconomics of the region.
Mm-hmm. So coming to your point itself regarding the surrounding boundaries and the neighborhood, now there is a sense that Pakistan has had a role in instigating the radical elements in Bangladesh to this protest, and Hasina's ouster as well. How do you see that? And what's your information?
See, you will not believe I've got friends across. I've got friends who fought with Mukti Baini. Yes, 2 years ago I did a presentation in the University of Rajasthan where I got somebody who was a military leader of Mukti Baini to talk. So I've got first-hand information of that place. See, the point is, bulk of the population does not like this kind of situation. That'd be very, very clear. Now, the point, from 1972 onwards, the Pakistanis, the worst thing that has happened to Pakistan is the humiliation of a military defeat, decisive military defeat in 1971, surrender of about 1 lakh prisoners, including I don't know how many generals, and and a new country, Pakistan getting divided into two, whatever may. So right from that time, it is not now, it is from that time, Pakistanis have been trying to, initially they had said, forget 71, remember 47. This was the slogan given by them. So the point is that Pakistan has been wanting to do this for many, many, many years. That is why in 1975, the first revolution, killing of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and his entire family. Then Sheikh Hasina comes back. Then Irshad, what has happened in his time? How a secular state became an absolute Islamic state. Now also, they were looking at an opportunity. And this quota star gave them the right opportunity, and they activated their people there, be it Jamaat, be it Islamic Chhatra Shibir, or whatever. Islamic Chhatra Shibir actually is a student wing of Jamaat itself. So they took full advantage of this, and then they started doing things in a manner, because a student stir which is against quota will not start killing minorities, will not start attacking police stations, will not start attacking the religious places of other communities. No, it is them, because now they have taken over the entire movement and they don't want normalcy to come back.
So
That
you
is what
feel that
the
Pakistan
Bangladeshis
has,
must, that's what the
has
Bangladeshis must understand and must guard against. They must know what is in their interest. What is in their interest.
no,
Yeah.
that means you are saying that yes, Pakistanis have taken advantage of this, and there are the radical elements there have been instigated by Pakistan.
Without a doubt. I mean, I don't feel, it's not a question of feeling. I mean, it is known. There is no doubt about the involvement of ISI. I can tell you, in 2018 was the first time when General Ziaur Rahman's son, who's the head of the BNP in exile in UK, he had a meeting with the ISI chief in London. So this, what has happened, what you are seeing, me and you are seeing today, it is not that has happened, something happened which has happened in 6 days, 10 days, or a week or 2 months. No, for years, both the BNP and ISI and Jamaat, all three of them have been trying, because after all, certain things were done by Khalida or Zia and her son, in, so that they create a situation here, and that situation turns ugly, and then Hasina is forced to resign, or is killed, or is, So the point is the involvement of ISI, involvement of Pakistan supported radicals and Jamaat is 100% there. And now students are out virtually of this entire thing, and the situation is being controlled by the hardliners, the Islamic radicals.
Okay. Okay. Now, I mean, after Pakistan, China is another neighbor, and we all know about its intentions and hegemonistic nature. So, what role, according to you, can China be, having in this protest and agitation, and how will it affect or play out with the present and the future of Bangladesh?
See, the Chinese interests in this area are very clear, are very, very clear. But for some years, the, the Chinese saw Hasina's government drift a little towards India, because Hasina had understood two things. One, what I said a little while ago, that you cannot change the geography.
You
And if you
cannot change your
cannot
neighbors.
change the
Yeah.
geography, then you have to have reasonable relationship with the only neighbor which surrounds you from all sides. Which surrounds you from all sides. One. Two, she had seen the Chinese way of doing things in Maldives, in Sri Lanka, in many African countries, in Myanmar and in Pakistan. So she had understood that a thriving economy. I told you, well, that's why I gave you in the initial stages the reason in 2020 and around that time, Bangladesh was a thriving economy. I'll give you some reason for why they avoid the debacle which has taken place. So then she had started having relationships with China also and making good with India also. When she had to go to China for 5-day visit, she came to India first, went to China, and she had to cut short her visit by a day and come back.
Yeah.
That was a big time, international issue. You can't ask a head of the nation to leave your country. So that was the thing. Chinese interests in this area are very, very simple and straight. Bangladesh had become a great buyer of Chinese defense product. In fact, you will be surprised. The 17% of China's entire defense export went to Bangladesh. 17% is one big number for a nation as big as China. It included submarines, it included frigates, it included trainer jets, it included small arms. I mean, every possible thing. So that was the Chinese interest. Then North Bay of Bengal, China wanted an exit there. So there are so many Chinese interests there. So China was not very comfortable when the Hasina government was aligning a little bit with US and a lot with India, in addition to what it was doing. I told you, they were playing good with all the three, India, US, and China. So that was another thing which was troubling China. Third thing was China was looking at that Teesta project. Sheikh Hasina refused to give that Teesta project to China, and that project landed in our lap. So that was one big time, issue with them. So they were also looking at a possible opportunity where they can topple this government any which way, whether via Pakistan and the Jamaat or any which. So there is a clear Chinese hand, to my way of understanding, in creating this situation in Bangladesh, both directly and indirectly. And China's interest, we know everything, Doklam, this, that, and the other. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the US is generally everywhere. So here also, the US has always objected about, Hasina's anti-democratic ways. They have said that there is no democracy in Bangladesh. They've also said that human rights is suffering in Bangladesh. So kind of US was said to be anti-Hasina. Also, according to my sources, it is heard that generally US, does not really support a government which comes thrice or three times or 4 times winning elections and something. They're quite uncomfortable with such a thing. How do you see the role of US in this Bangladesh?
Priti, you are absolutely right. That is exactly what you see. The point, two, three things are there when we talk of US. The US was the only place the US does not have a sizable presence is North Bay of Bengal. Everywhere else they have their whether it's Middle East or it is Japan or Sea of South China Sea or anywhere and everywhere. So there is a island in which is with Bangladesh, Saint Martin's Island, I think. So the Americans were wanting that one island to build a naval and our Air Force base, because they want to create their presence in this part of the world. With the plus, what is happening is that base would have assisted the Americans to take care or counterbalance both India and China. If you feel that India is a friend of US or in international relations, I've said this many number of times, there are no friends, there are no enemies, there are only permanent interests. So we are not a permanent friend of US, nor what 71, they were against us. So the point is, they wanted their presence. One. Two, they felt that without opposition, with the opposition's boycott, 200 seats and Sheikh Hasina coming back to power is not correct. So they made a comment. So when they made a comment, Sheikh Hasina retorted, which was not taken very well, by the so-called superpower of the world. It was not very well taken by the US. So they actually are looking at somewhere, where they can have a presence which can firstly give them some kind of a control over the Bay of Bengal, and then presence in this part of the Southeast Asia junction. Actually, if you really come think of geopolitically and geostrategically, Bangladesh is a very, very important part of the world. Very, very important. And that is where they were eyeing. And the proximity which Hasina's government enjoyed both with China and India was not being taken in the right way by the US. But I can tell you one thing, that in this particular case, to my mind, I may be wrong, a direct involvement of US may not be there, because they already have their hands full in Ukraine, they have their hands full in Middle East, and also Taiwan is getting ready for them, another one, and then there are Koreas who are wanting to do this, and then there is a Japan, and there is Senkaku, and there is some island in the Russia where they have an issue. So yet another place, to my mind, may not be there, but some kind of understanding between the Pakistani actual architect of the situation in Bangladesh is Pakistan, with the direct help of China and some help from the United States of America.
Okay. Now, my last question would be, with India having Bangladesh and India are neighbors, and neighborhood is very important. Our government is also following the
Neighborhood first.
Neighborhood first policy, and a lot of impetus has been given with all these countries to all these countries. That is another story, that what the present relations with our neighbors is having a downslide. But sticking to this, now Hasina was pro-India, and these other parties which are now in Bangladesh, the Jamaat and the BNP, are not supposed to be pro-India. They're almost anti-India. So now, in case they come now, interim government, and then they come to power, what are the signals for India that you see?
See, Priti, I just want your attention to the background that I have. What you just said is being displayed there. The India's neighborhood, and all that is in red is not pro-India. So what is in white is only one Bhutan. You see, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka hidden behind my chair, and Maldives.
Maldives, yeah.
That is India's neighborhood, and that is red. So what you said is absolutely correct. Now I will tell you how an unstable Bangladesh impacts India. The biggest impact of a radicalized Bangladesh is going to be felt in the northeast of India. How? Even when it was East Pakistan, and later when it became a Bangladesh and continued to be what? 100% terrorist outfits which were operating in northeast of India were based in Bangladesh. And if there is a radical dispensation which comes to some kind of power, they may revive. I'm not saying they will. They may revive these. So the people who will get affected are the people of the northeast of India. Two, the joining hands of a radical Islamist government in Bangladesh and the Chinese, 27-kilometer long, wide famous chicken snake or whatever, call it what you like, razor's edge or whatever it is, the Siliguri corridor. It sees itself in a big time trouble. Initially we were wanting, because we had bad, not so good relationship with Bangladesh during Ishad's time, during Ziaur Rahman's time, or Khalida Begum's time. So we were doing things through Myanmar, and we were looking at, there was a Blue East and this, that, and the other. But later, when things improved, we were creating a route into the northeast through Bangladesh. I don't think that will now, see the light of the day. So the point is, the northeast of India gets affected tremendously with the kind of government that Bangladesh will get into. One. Two, the people who are in India, the impact of what happens in Bangladesh will have direct ramifications on the West Bengal state of the country. You have a large number of Bangladeshis there, some of them in power also. That is going to have a huge impact. Then an unstable Bangladesh will make sure that this red is a complete red. This Bangladesh was not red a few weeks ago. So the point is, the entire neighborhood, not being friendly to you or not being pro you. I'll not say friendly. Friendly we are. Nepal is good enough. The Maldives are falling into place. Moises himself is now getting back to India, bail us out, do this, do that, do that. But the fact of the matter is, when Chinese tried to do something, they fell into their lap, and then they said, out India, and this, that, and the other. Now, my point continues to remain that we need to handle the situation in Bangladesh, help them stabilize, both in terms of situation and in terms of economic development. See, we have given them the concessions for up to 8 billion USD rupees, USD worth. That's a huge amount. So point is, we need to, interact with whoever is in power, even if it has a element of radical, your Jamaat or whatever. But the point is, there is no other way. If the Jamaat is the government, if Taliban is the government in Afghanistan, can you talk to anyone else? So my point is, we need to make sure that we have a stable and possibly terror-free Bangladesh for the good of the region, for the good of the nation, and at a stage for the good of the globe.
Absolutely. I mean, I wish I could talk more to you, because there's so much on this and so much information that can be shared as well. But yeah, the takeaways that I find from your conversation is that, first, that as you just said, that our northeast will be very, very, very disturbed if Bangladesh is not stable. And yes, we need to ensure, as India, the biggest economy in the region and the nation, and biggest democracy, we need to ensure that Bangladesh is stable. For that matter, if anyone to talk to, right? Thank you so much, General Mathur. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope we'll get you once again to talk on another issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Priti. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Jai Bharat.